Where is all of this Kobe disrespect is coming from? I don't understand it. And it's coming from, yeah, I expect it from people who are under the age of 30 years old or even under the age of 25. But hearing it from NBA veterans or former NBA players, I don't understand where it's coming from. Because as for me, I grew up watching these two. Kobe's my favorite player, and I will always say T-Mac is my second favorite player. And my third favorite player is the jersey I'm wearing right now, Penny Hardaway. And I'm going to get right into the legacy of Penny Hardaway and try to tie all of this in, because so many people are saying that if T-Mac had Shaq or the same team as Kobe, he would have won more rings than Kobe, which is absolutely insane. So here's my first point. One thing that always plagued T-Mac throughout his entire career, well, not his entire career, but a good portion of it, was he always got injured at the wrong moments, him and Yao Ming. So what makes you guys think that if he played with Shaq or played with the Lakers that his health would have changed, like he would have never gotten hurt? Mind you, Kobe got hurt so many times throughout his career, and he always played. There's that. Then we can talk about defense. Okay, so on offense, Kobe and T-Mac were pretty much the same. Look in the mirror, they're pretty much the same fucking player, right? The defensive IQ is what separated them. Kobe, was it 10 defensive all-team awards or selections? And T-Mac, how many defensive team selections did he have? And I'm not saying he wasn't formidable on defense, but he wasn't Kobe on defense. Then people try to make the excuse, well, Houston Rockets didn't really have the roster that the Lakers had. Well, the Lakers, during their 3 championship run, they had Rick Fox starting at small forward. Rick fucking Fox. Robert Horry started for them. And Derek Fisher, I have tremendous respect for Derek Fisher. He was a strong defensive player, knockdown 3-point shooter, but he wasn't really giving buckets like that. So outside of Kobe and Shaq, literally no one else was averaging over 20 points a game. That's saying a lot. If you look at the Houston Rockets lineup during T-Mac's prime there, and this is what I'm talking about, the Houston Rockets, right? Because I feel like those were his best years, T-Mac, even though Orlando was crazy. But he had Shane Battier, who was the quintessential 3-and-D player. Rafer Alston, who was a quick and shifty point guard who could easily give you 12 to 15 points a game. So off the top, he already had a better point guard offensively, and at the wing, a better shooter than Robert Horry and or Rick Fox. All right, so Shane Battier had a long, solid career. All right, let's get to the big men. Okay, we have Shaq versus Yao Ming. Obviously, Shaq was better than Yao Ming, but Yao still averaged 22 to 25 points per game, plus 10 to 12 rebounds a game, all defensive team. His only issue was really he got hurt a lot. But it's Yao Ming, still one of the best big men we saw of the 2000s era. Now, who started for the Rockets at the 4? You guys can say that in the comments. I believe it was Chucky Atkins. I know they also had Dikembe Mutombo, but I believe he was coming off the bench, and he was still extremely solid as a rim protector at that point of his career. And that's just the, but like, so I will take the Houston Rockets overall roster over the Lakers at that time, and they still couldn't get it done. There's still 0 championships, never got past the first round. All right, let's take Orlando T-Mac, which I watched religiously because I'm from Florida and they had their games aired every single game, all right? So, let's see. Their roster wasn't that great, but I had to get my thoughts together. Actually, I'm going to scratch that. Forget Orlando T-Mac because that roster was trash and they weren't going to win anything anyways. But let's tie it in when people say, well, if so-and-so, like so many people say if Vince Carter had Shaq, if T-Mac had Shaq, so on and so forth, that they all would have won, or Allen Iverson, if he had Shaq, they all would have won more championships than Kobe did with Shaq, just to disrespect Kobe. But let's say 4 seasons Shaq was in Orlando. 4 seasons. He had Penny Hardaway, who was a superstar, Nick Anderson, who was a sharpshooter, and he was also great at driving to the rim. He had Horace Grant, who helped. Who did Horace Grant win championships with? Michael Jordan. 3, right? 3 championships with Michael Jordan. Helped him win 3 championships. I know a lot of Michael Jordan fans like to pretend that Michael won all of those championships by himself. They also had a very solid overall roster, solid enough to kick Michael Jordan out the playoffs when he came back in 1994. See, a lot of Michael Jordan fans like to forget that part. When he came back from retirement the first time, it was the Orlando Magic who booted him out of the fucking playoffs. So if Shaq did not win a championship with another superstar, oh well, they were young. Okay, y'all come up with the craziest excuses ever. At the end of the day, the roster was what it was. Shaq was where he was, and they did not get it done in Orlando. He didn't win until Kobe came into the picture. And also, y'all forget that the first couple of seasons, the Lakers did not win the championship and Kobe wasn't starting. The Lakers did not even make deep playoff runs until Kobe started in the lineup. So where is this disrespect of Kobe coming from? I don't understand it. Y'all need to stop. Because when Kobe was coming off the bench, they had Nick Van Exel. They had also Nick Anderson, I believe. Yeah, oh my God. Anderson was Glenn Rice. They also had Eddie Jones, who was a effing bucket. But I guess he wasn't good enough, and that's why Kobe got the nod over him and they traded Eddie Jones. There were no championships before Kobe started. So all of this disrespect coming, I don't understand it. Like, you guys are trying to make it seem like so many players were head over heels over Kobe, and Kobe just got the luxury of winning with Shaq, when Shaq did not win until Kobe came into his own. And Shaq did go to Miami and won another ring, but Kobe also won 2 more rings without Shaq. So tell me where I'm wrong. All right, here's another video of me defending Kobe because people are just obsessed with disrespecting this man's legacy. And the main part of it is, oh, Kobe would not have won anything without Shaq. Kobe was the main beneficiary of Shaq's dominance, and Shaq didn't need Kobe to win championships. Okay, so here's this. First and foremost, my main point is, so with all of this said, because people always try to plug in other players, say if he played with AI, if he played with T-Mac, if he played with Vince Carter, Shaq probably would have won the same amount or more championships. So with that logic, how come Shaq is never your number one on your top 10 list? Shaq might be your top 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 15. But I've never seen anyone put Shaq number 1 on their list, because if he was that great and that dominant, which he was great and dominant, and was capable of winning with everybody, which he didn't, how come he doesn't have more rings? Shaq should be number 1 on everyone's list with at least 8 rings, right? Oh, excuse me, I'm sweating. It's hot as fuck right now. My next point I want to drive home. This is the Lakers starting squad before Kobe came into the starting lineup. We have Eddie Jones, who was a sharpshooter and an incredible player. He went to multiple All-Stars, a great defensive player, a proven player. We have Nick Van Exel, who was known for his quick, flashy style of play. He would easily give you 18 buckets, 6 or 7 assists, and he looked really cool doing it. He was a really fun player to watch. So then we have Shaq in his prime, fresh from Orlando, where he didn't win a championship. And I don't know who the fuck these 2 guys are. Respectfully, I guess they're irrelevant at this point. But with 2 players in the starting lineup that could easily get you 20 points a game, one player who was incredible defensively, he didn't get a championship out of it. Okay? Matter of fact, Kobe was such an incredible prospect that the Lakers say, you know what, we can trade Eddie Jones. Although we know he can give us 18 points a game. Although we know he can make an all-defensive team. Although we know he is a great teammate. This kid, Kobe, he got next. We're going to trade him away. And you know what? We can get rid of Nick Van Exel too. We'll start Derek Fisher. And then boom, you got the 1999 Lakers where, okay, Kobe and Shaq will handle at least 80% of the scoring. All we have to do is just surround them by defensive players and spot-up shooters. Look at Tyronn Lue. Look how perfectly this team is constructed just for Kobe and Shaq. You have the defensive-minded pass-first point guard who can also shoot spot-up threes. We have length on the wings in Robert Horry and Rick Fox, who can also shoot some spot-up threes every once in a while, but they weren't the greatest of the greats. You add Glenn Rice in there, who was going to give you 15, 18 points a game. Brian Shaw coming off the bench, great defensively. Look at John Sally. but still, once again, the key factor is Kobe being Kobe. But now I'm going to take it back to when Shaq was in Orlando. As I mentioned again, look at this fucking squad. Shaq, Penny, Horace Grant, Nick Anderson. And Dennis Scott, who was far from a scrub, he would give you 15 to 17 points a game easily. No one really talks about Dennis Scott. I forgot about him too. So we have a superstar with Penny Hardaway, Shaq, a champion in Horace Grant. We have two dogs at the wing who can easily give you 20 buckets on any given night. Shaq did not win a single championship with this starting lineup. Shaq needed this kid with the afro just as much as the kid with the afro needed Shaq. And quite honestly, I'm happy they both won rings without each other, because you would think that these conversations wouldn't exist, but they still do, and they're fucking stupid. Alright, this will be my last and final video regarding the Kobe Bryant situation and how I don't understand people are trying so hard to discredit his entire legacy. The things I've noticed from all of the bozos who are disrespecting Kobe is how inconsistent they are. They use lazy disqualifiers to take them out of the top 10 while contradicting themselves, because at the same time the people they will mention in their top 10 all have the same credentials as Kobe. Let me explain. I had one person in the comments say, well, Kobe ain't in my top 10 because he only got one MVP. So why is Shaq in your top 10 if MVP counts matter? Because he only has one. And here's another embarrassing take. Oh, well, Kobe not in my top 10 because he never won a championship without a Hall of Fame kind of a player. And if they mention their top 10, it's filled with players who have won multiple championships with even more Hall of Fame players than Kobe played with. We're talking about Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Wilt, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan. Oh, and speaking of Tim Duncan, he walked into a way better situation than Kobe did. But I'm going to get to that. Oh, well, Kobe never won a championship without a Hall of Fame coach. So that's the best you got? So, like, enlighten me, is Phil Jackson the only coach in the history of the NBA to coach Hall of Fame players? Oh, wow, Michael Jordan is usually always everyone's number one. Has 6 rings. All 6 of them was with Phil Jackson. And you know what else about Michael Jordan? He never won a championship without another Hall of Fame teammate. And at this point, I'm just stating the obvious, but it seems like you all are kind of missing the plot when it comes to Kobe. Why is it always one way with y'all? Because without Kobe, Shaq would not have 4 rings. I know a lot of you struggled in school, but what is more, 5 or 4? Kobe won 2 rings without Shaq. Shaq won 1. And as I mentioned before, Shaq had 7 seasons to win a championship before Kobe came into the picture. So let's get into that. Oh, well, Kobe not in my top 10 because he was super inefficient. He only shot over 50% from the field one time in his whole career. Do you guys have that same energy when you talk about Allen Iverson being one of the greatest of all time, or Tracy McGrady being one of the greatest of all time? Or Vince Carter, for that matter? All 3 of those players are in the Hall of Fame, and they were all high-volume shooting guards, which means they were pretty inefficient by today's standard. But I know a lot of you are just box score dweebs and actually never really watched basketball. You guys just look at stats. You listen to Stephen A. Smith. You were raised on Skip Bayless. And you do this while sounding so stupid. And if Kobe is not in your top 10, that's fucking fine. Who really cares? But if you want to disqualify Kobe based on certain stats and accolades, make sure that top 10 is consistent based on those same stats and accolades you disqualify Kobe for, because a lot of you sound so fucking stupid and contradict yourself so much. Oh, and I forgot about this one other argument people like to bring up. Kobe only has 2 finals MVPs. So we're saying 2 finals MVPs is not enough now? Like, what are y'all really saying?